It's gaining both in popularity and prestige. It's become a must-do event in historic motor racing circles. Created in 2002, the Le Mans Classic is a 3-day-long tribute both on and off the circuit to the world's most famous motor race, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. An extraordinary event witnessed by more than 100,000 enthusiasts from France and beyond, satisfying the demand of the worldwide racing community to celebrate the great race's place in motor racing history. 450 cars, 2,000 drivers, 8,000 club cars and prestigious partners. It all comes to life on the Thursday with the arrival of the participants. Detailed technical verifications confirming the eligibility and authenticity of the cars and even parts. And the drivers get a proper sense of this legendary circuit's uniqueness. This year the United States is being honoured and there are some very rare cars in the paddock, like the two Stutz Black Hawks from the late 1920s. More than 80 years later, they've returned to Le Mans.
Since I bought it, I've done a lot of work of just improving the internals of it with new pistons and connecting rods and various things of this nature. And we've raced it quite extensively throughout America, Spa-Francorchamps, as you know, Monterey, the Monterey Historics in California, Lime Rock in Connecticut. So we've campaigned the car quite a bit. I'm very proud. Very proud and to be here and representing the mark in the country.
In the Roaring '20s, the Stutz Black Hawk created a real connection between the US and England.
I believe that in England, these 5 that are remaining of that 400 that were shipped, the right-hand drive cars, those, at least 4 of them I know are running driving cars. I believe there may be a few other Stutz in England that have been brought into England after the fact that are left-hand drive. But generally, there's not many.
Rareness and history. The Le Mans Classic decor is in place. Later on the Thursday, the calm and charm before the storm with the traditional cocktail party and dinner at the elegant Abbaye de l'Epau. There was also a chance for the VIPs to get a sneak peek at Porsche's new 918. Cameras weren't allowed inside, but we did get some first impressions from those who got a glimpse.
I don't
know much about supercars, but it looks like a McLaren GT1, a lovely machine.
I think it looks exceptionally beautiful, particularly from the back looking behind, because I don't think you're going to see a lot from the front. You're not going to see it coming, but you're always going to watch it going away from you. It looks awesome. It really does look beautiful.
Magnificent. From an aesthetic and aerodynamic aspect, it's a very handsome car. The Le Mans Classic, being as big as it is, requires a lovely lass to take us behind the scenes. Justine Monnier now offers us a guided tour through the LMC village.
Which poster is the most popular? This one. Okay, Steve McQueen, Le Mans. See, there's even a hair salon at Le Mans Classic.
Friday afternoon, and there's a proper deluge falling over the circuit. Practice begins and the drivers have to get on with it. One driver, who's no stranger to the French public, is participating in the Group 6 1979 BMW M1. Stepping out of the cockpit, former French Prime Minister François Fillon, who's clearly having a good time. Everyone knows I've been a motor racing enthusiast for a long time. I haven't been able to do very much these past 5 years, but I'm back and happy to be here. The Le Mans Classic is a terrific event. It allows these great cars that created so much passion and have such strong personalities to return to the track. And it's wonderful to race with my friends. We asked what's more difficult, being Prime Minister or being a driver? Prime Minister for sure. I'm not a race car driver, I'm an amateur. I don't drive too fast, I'm just here to enjoy myself. What better way to get a sense of the speed differences between the various groups on the 13.6-kilometre long circuit than a lap around the circuit? So buckle up for a fascinating and exhilarating ride. It's really like the 24 hours, there's no time to relax. It's hard, just have a look at my face. It's really similar to the current day 24 hours, and that's as it should be. And there are plenty of VIPs on hand, as we see here, with a visit paid by FIA President Jean Todt, his lovely wife Michelle Yeoh, ACO President Pierre Fillon, and the man responsible for all the splendour and tribute to the world's most important endurance race, Patrick Pétard. The cars are split into 6 groups spanning the years 1923 to 1979. Over the weekend, each group will have 3 40-minute races. Group 4 had the honour, and the racing began in front of packed grandstands. Adding to the nostalgia was the famous Le Mans start, which was for safety concerns stopped in 1970. Group 4 is for cars circa 1962 to 65, with a strong presence of Detroit V8 power among the several Ford GT40s and AC Cobras. Without doubt, the best-known driver in the class is 5-time Le Mans winner with Audi, Emmanuel Pirot. This weekend, the sports car superstar is behind the wheel of the number 6 1965 Ford GT40. The Italian went on for an easy win in race 1. The team of Voyazid and Dabrel de Liebron in another GT40 won race 2. In race 3, it was 2012 Tour Auto winner Sean Lynn taking top honours, not in his familiar Red Cobra, but another Ford GT40. A Group 4 sweep for the British-inspired American-made machine, with the overall win going to Voyazid and Dabrel de Liebron, ahead of Sean Lynn and Hans Hugenholtz.
It was fast! It was a great race. It's fantastic. It's very, very slippery, very dangerous in some places, but that's the whole story of the race. And Le Mans is such an amazing circuit with everything variations from tarmac, from road surface to racetrack, and just an amazing place.
Oh, it was good. My problem is I was running out of revs on the straight, so I just had to lift 4 times per lap. So Sean could overtake me just on speed. But the track was good. It was a bit slippery in a few places because of the previous races. But the track was fantastic. It's always fun to race here.
Another myth, another legendary constructor, Ferrari. Between 1962 and 1964, 39 250 GTOs were built. Its first outing, the 1962 Sebring 12 Hours, concluded with a 2nd place overall for the duo of American Phil Hill and Belgian Olivier Gendebien. As time went on, the V12 3-litre powered prancing horse took on a dimension of its own, thanks to its competition pedigree and rareness. It was quite a sight on Friday afternoon to see 23 of the 39 together in the paddock, with as much as $30 million having been paid for a few of the cars. This may be the most valuable gathering of automobiles of all time. And that's not all. Once the 250 GTO parade concluded, the owners were invited to a lunch unlike any other, prepared by several of France's finest culinary stars. The menu. Well, the starter is escargot, prepared by Jacques Le Gaulois. a small casserole of snails with parsley and garlic, with a touch of milk and a very elegant garlic emulsion. I prepared poached salmon with sorrel, which is a classic from the Trois Gros restaurant, which dates back to the days of the 250 GTO, 1962. My father Pierre and uncle Jean created the dish that year. Next, we have a farm-bred guinea fowl prepared by Michel Chabron. He's actually in the walk-in fridge deboning the birds. And then for desserts, we have raspberry tarts, prepared by Jean-Paul Lacombe, with provincial fruits from the Lyon region. This is what it's all about. Three-time World Touring Car champion Yvon Muller made his Le Mans Classic debut at the wheel of this 1971 Corvette. For the Frenchman, having to push his car to the grid was not a big deal. When you're a professional driver, you like to do as much as you can. At first, my priority was here in the Le Mans Classic with the France Confort team. But at the same time, I really wanted to take part in the first ever oval race in France. I'd say I am somewhat of an eclectic driver, having competed in several different series. But I haven't yet raced on an oval. In fact, Muller is taking part in both the Le Mans Classic and in the NASCAR-sanctioned Race Car Euro Series an hour away in the city of Tours on a temporary oval track, adding to the American motor racing theme taking place in the western region of France in early July, with something for every motor racing taste. No doubt, Muller travelled many a kilometre over the weekend, both on the racetrack and France's secondary roads. Another entry in Group 5 is this 1969 Nomad, a rare car created from the imagination of Mark Koenig and Bob Curl, in which 3 evolutions were built. The second, or Mark II, is here at Le Mans in the hands of 2 French enthusiasts, who put in a considerable amount of effort to have the car ready to race.
C'est parti d'une idée de Christophe.
Christophe really wanted to be a part of the Le Mans Classic. We spoke, and I too have wanted to take part ever since the first time I came out to see it 4 years ago. I put 200% into this. We have a third driver who is now in the car. Christophe found a car and he rebuilt it from the ground up. It's as good as new, perhaps even a bit more new than when it was first built. Yvan Maillet's team, which are historic car specialists, did the restoration. They spent all winter working on the car. Unfortunately, it was finished quite late. It wasn't done until this weekend.
Donc le moteur est arrivé, c'est un moteur un peu particulier.
This car ran at Le Mans in 1969 with an engine based on a Formula One motor. We had to go to England to find the engine because there's just one builder. We had to wait a long time because it had to be entirely rebuilt, and it only arrived in Paris 2 weeks ago. It's a BRM V8. And now we have the pleasure of riding on board this rare sports car, numbered 43, to commemorate its 43 years of existence. The second batch of cars onto the track is Group 5, reserved for cars built between 1966 and 1971. Here, it's all about horsepower, lots of horsepower, with stunning prototypes such as the Porsche 917s, Ferrari 512, the Lola T70s and Chevron B16s. Here we get a good look at the 1971 Alfa Romeo T33-3 of Maris and Meares, as well as the 1969 Porsche 9082 of Fink and Werner, and the 1971 Lola T212 driven by Neil Primrose, the drummer of the British rock band Travis, who's here at Le Mans between concert dates. Race 1 was won by the trio Monteverde, Pearson and Smith in the 917. Defending class winner Bernard Thurner from Switzerland won race 2 in his 1967 Lola T70 Mark III. He went on to do just enough in race 3 to take the overall. Worth noting was the fine run of the Alpine A220 of Sylvain Stepak and François Bourdin, who finished 3rd overall. And a few managed to slide their way across the start-finish line.
We were
successful in transforming our second participation into a win. I owe a lot to the entire team behind this car. We broke the engine at Spa 5 weeks ago. A new engine arrived, the mechanics had to work day and night to get it ready, and this win is for them. Between the races come the parades, the opportunity for the major car companies to roll out the cars of their glory days. At BMW, no one has forgotten the brand's 1999 Le Mans win. Many cars were on display, with some even venturing onto the racetrack. BMW is also celebrating its return to the DTM after a 20-year absence, and all those who went for a spin on the track certainly enjoyed themselves. Porsche got into the Le Mans Classic spirit, inviting 3 of its most famous drivers, Derek Bell, Henri Pescarolo and Gérard Larousse, who have 11 Le Mans triumphs among them. Porsche first came to Le Mans in 1951 and took its first overall victory in 1970. The Stuttgart car maker holds the record for most wins with 16, and it will make its official return to the June Classic in 2014. Another German constructor, Mercedes, celebrated the 60th anniversary of its historic win in 1952, thanks to the duo of Lang and Rees in a 300 SL. This is a car everyone remembers and certainly has earned its right to take a lap of honour. The Nissan Club was also very well represented in the car club parades. And there was more when on Saturday morning the much-anticipated Alpine concept car put in a demonstration run with the man in charge of the Renault project behind the wheel.
Alpine
has an important motor racing history within the Renault Group and in the French automobile history. We really wanted to continue the story in a modest but determined manner. This Alpine has all you'd want from a high-performance sports car, and here is perhaps a version of this vehicle one day being commercialized. In any case, it showed what's possible during the 2012 Le Mans Classic. With the demonstration completed, Jean Ragnotti wasn't the only one to come over and express his attachment and reap the first impressions of the happy driver of the concept car.
C'est fabuleux et ces lignes droites des Huladières sont
and the
vraiment
Mulsanne
plaisantes.
Straight is
Et
really
c'est
exhilarating.
pratiquement indescriptible tellement c'est
I
grisant.
can't describe it.
À tel point
We
que
have an engine
on a un
governor that
rupteur
comes
qui est un
in
petit
just
peu
a bit
trop
too
ambitieux,
early,
qu'on aurait voulu
and it would be nice
bien
to
aimé
go a
voler
little
un peu plus
faster.
vite, mais non, la
The
piste est
track is
absolument
just
extraordinaire.
amazing.
On imagine
And I
ce
can
que
just
c'est que de
imagine
rouler
what
à
it
fond
would be
pendant
like to
24
run
heures.
flat
On
out for
imagine pas ce que
24
c'est que
hours.
rouler à fond
Or
pendant
rather, I
24 heures.
can't imagine
Mais
it.
déjà un
To do
tour
just a
avec,
lap with the Alpine
avec
is
l'Alpine,
fabulous.
c'était fabuleux.
This is also a fine way to honour the memory of Alpine founder Jean Redelli, whose son Jean-Charles was on hand at the Le Mans Classic. No doubt it was an emotional time. In this 6th edition of the Le Mans Classic honouring America's involvement, emotions ran high, with tributes paid to the late Carroll Shelby, who passed away this past May in Texas at the age of 89. A fighter pilot in World War II, Shelby turned to motor racing in the 50s, winning Le Mans in 1959 for Aston Martin.
It's very important for all the great fans of Carroll Shelby and also the many fans of Roy Salvadori, as well as Ted Cutting. Now, Ted Cutting was the man who designed this car, the Le Mans winning Aston Martin DBR1, who sadly passed away this year. And also very sad to say goodbye to Carroll Shelby, who drove this car. I think it was probably one of his last races. He was a very ill man when he drove the race. He was apparently biting glycerine tablets to keep the pain of his heart down, and Roy Salvadori and he carried the car to what was Aston Martin's greatest win, the win in this actual car in Le Mans 1959, and it's very really poignant to bring this DBR1 Aston Martin back to Le Mans, but particularly this year when we see the passing of three great men: Ted Cutting, who designed the car, Roy Salvadori, who drove it brilliantly, and of course Carroll Shelby.
After his Le Mans triumph, Shelby turned to car building, associating an AC Bristol chassis with a Ford V8. The AC Cobra was born, and here's one of the finest examples, the Daytona Coupe. Its Argentinian owner a great admirer.
We are a very big fan of the cars from Carroll Shelby. We have a lot of cars back home in Argentina. My father is also a big fan, so we have this car also, and we couldn't miss this show for him.
It's a way to pay tribute to him.
Yeah, totally. I met him last year in Powell Beach, and he was very kind to us, and this like a payback for him.
In addition to the AC Cobra, the Texan was also involved in the history-making GT40 program, as well as the line of Shelby Mustangs that were so successful in their day.
I used to hitchhike to Le Mans to watch as a student, and I was born in 1966, and this is a 65 car, and the GT40 is won in 66, so for me, it's the car that won Le Mans the year I was born, so it's very important.
And despite grey skies, a parade was in order to thank Carroll Shelby for his immeasurable contribution to the automobile world and motor racing, both in the past as well as in the future. The 24 hours dates back to 1923. To be able to see all these cars that we watched when we were kids gives us an idea of what to expect in the future at the Le Mans 24 Hours.
Je crois que ce sont les gènes de l'ACO et qui permettent de voir comment vont se projeter dans l'avenir les 24 heures du Mans.
And there's little time to rest at the Le Mans Classic. Just 3 weeks after the 80th running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, Jacques Nicolet, owner of the Oak Racing Endurance team, is back at the track with his 1972 Duckham LM, concocted by Alain de Cadenet. Also president is the 1975 de Cadenet Lola T380 DFV in Group 6, which is now on track. Group 6 is composed of cars built between 1972 and 1979. These are the most modern entries and thus the fastest. In their heyday, some approached speeds of 400 km per hour on the Mulsanne Straight, and here Jacques Nicolet is at the wheel of his Duckham's LM. plenty of Porsches, Lolas and Chevrons, and of course the 1978 Renault Alpine A442B with Jean Ragnotti at the controls. Another of the unique cars in action is this 1977 WMP 77, driven by the duo Jean-Michel Guison and Thierry Audenet. Then there's the 1973 Porsche RSR 2.8 in the famous Brumos colours, driven by Jean-Philippe Grand and Gérard Larousse. Followed by the black 1979 Porsche 935 of Eric Maris and Jean-Pierre Malcha. But taking top honours in Group 6, the American-built 1972 Gulf Mirage of Chris McAllister.
The rain was difficult, but we had no problem. So the first race we had a problem, and got that fixed and came back. So I'm surprised to be here. Didn't have that good of a finish in the first race. Better in the second, won the third. So c'est bon.
Another interesting story in Group 6 is this car, the 1975 Moynet LM. The project was initiated by post-World War II Government Minister André Moynet. Among the 3 female drivers of this Simca Chrysler-powered Matra chassis was none other than Michèle Mouton, who went on to make quite a name for herself in the World Rally Championship.
Les descendants de Monsieur Moynet.
Monsieur Moynet's family put the car up for sale at auction about 2 years ago.
Il y a à peu près 2 ans. Et je connaissais cette voiture.
I knew about the car's history,
pour l'avoir suivi longtemps.
and I decided to
À partir de
purchase
là,
it.
j'ai décidé de l'acheter. Et l'ayant acheté,
We then decided to restore
on
it,
a entrepris de la remettre
but made minimal changes.
en changeant le minimum de choses. Donc elle est exactement dans son configuration.
It's in its absolute
d'origine,
original
avec
state,
le même moteur
with the same engine
et la même boîte.
and gearbox.
À part la carrosserie d'origine qu'on a gardée parce qu'on ne veut pas la
We also
casser,
kept the
tout le
original
reste est
bodywork
strictement série.
because we did not want to change it,
Mais tout refaire,
and everything is the way it was. Everything from its era, but brand new.
C'est bleu, blanc, rouge.
It's nostalgic for people, typically French, blue, white, red, part of the 24 Hours of Le Mans history. There are very few cars that have won with a female team. It won the only race it ever competed in. A lot of things were accomplished. Moynet is back on track in 2012, but this time there are 2 men behind the wheel. Another Le Mans Classic tradition is the auction organised by Arcurial Motorcars. This year, nearly 250 lots were on offer, and among them there were some recent machines that competed at Le Mans, such as this 1991 Peugeot 905. Also Ferraris, a Ligier JS2, a Lancia, Mercedes, and Salines. Something for all tastes and budgets. There's even the 2007 Audi R10 TDI, estimated to be worth €1.5 million. Despite a few technical hiccups due to the rain, the Hervé Poulain Run auction went on, and a 1966 Ferrari 275 took top price at €1,540,200. The Peugeot 905 sold for €654,700, and in all €9 million changed hands, a 30% increase from 2010. As usual, the show was created by the beauty of the cars and the talent of the auctioneer. As night falls over the circuit on Saturday, there's time to relax, and why not a game of pétanque organised over at the circuit's golf course. Large numbers came out and had themselves a lovely evening. But having said that, once again, night time at the Le Mans Classic is not necessarily synonymous with taking a break. back on the track, and it's now Group 2 for cars built between 1949 and 1956. English makes AC, Austin Healey and Jaguar are united with Porsches, Maseratis and a few French entries, such as the DB. Sunday morning and the start of race 2. We're now on board with Alex Buncombe and his 1962 C-Type Jaguar. An onboard camera as well, mounted on the 1955 Maserati 300S, driven by Franco Miners. Despite some mighty stiff competition, the Jaguars came out on top in race 3 with 6 cars in the top 7 spots, with Gavin Pickering in the 1955 D-Type taking the overall win, less than a minute clear over Monteverdi, Pearson and Smith in their Jag.
It's been a tough weekend, a lot of rain, very slippery, but really pleased to do it in the D-Type. It's a great car to drive here, so very fortunate and enjoyed it a lot, so good result.
The weekend is far from over. There's always something for everyone at the Le Mans Classic. A few minutes to relax before heading behind the LMC scenes.
We're now going to take you on a tour of the hospitality area of the famed circuit. Now, it's not the easiest place to enter, but we're certainly in good hands.
Suivez-moi, on va visiter tout ça.
We're at the BMW suite. The atmosphere is very nice with tons of people, the view's fantastic, and the interior design is great with lots of sort of roses, and the atmosphere is relaxed, so I'm giving it 8 out of 10.
Attention, these people are ready for the battle. Group 1 features the most vintage of the vintage. Those glorious creations that raced at Le Mans between 1923 and 1939, when lap times were in excess of 10 minutes over the 13.6-kilometre circuit. Rolling works of art from Bugatti, Talbot, Aston Martin and Bentley on this 1939 BMW driven by Albert Otten. Beaten 2 years ago by a BMW, the Talbots got their revenge in 2012. 3 races and 3 wins for the French brand, and at average speeds nearing 130 kilometers per hour. And when a race reaches half distance, it's time for the mandatory driver change. A delicate procedure when each gesture remained measured, and there's no reason to take any unnecessary risks. Here we see Eveline Heiser at the wheel of the 1938 Simca 8. Then it's the 1935 Aston Martin Ulster of the team of Midgley, Hope and Woodgate. The duo of Traber and Trenery took a close 10 seconds overall win ahead of the trio of Bronson, Burnett and Evans in another Talbot in what was a terrific battle.
The last race was great. The first race was nice, and the second race was a nightmare because I just was finishing Plateau 6, and then I rushed down to the starting grid, and the car all left, you know. So I had to start on the last car, you know. So I had to find all my way to the front, but I couldn't finish very well. So, but at the end, I'm happy.
Well, it's a shame the skies have opened over Le Mans, but we're checking out the future talent from every nationality with all sorts of cars. They're often the children of those taking part in the actual Le Mans Classic, and in some cases, grandchildren. You couldn't dream up anything more charming. So, Valentin, what's it like to be a race driver? Fun, yes, but it's a bit strange. Lucas, you have a Ferrari helmet. Do you think you can win? Yeah, I think so. I did last time. I started last and finished 4th. Hi, Lisa. There are not many girls in the race. Yeah, I noticed that too. What's it like to be a race car driver? Well, I guess I would say it's a lot of fun. What are you driving? It's a BMW! What's your strategy? It's raining, so I won't drive too fast, and I'll be careful in turns and try to have fun. Valentin said his granddad was racing and that he was the fastest.
I don't know about that. We'll try. We're in Group 3 with the Panhard, and we'll race tonight, and we're very happy.
I love going fast.
Despite the clouds and rain, nothing dampens the kids' excitement. They find themselves suddenly in the world of adults and motor racing. And they also get to do a proper Le Mans style start. For their parents, it's a magical moment to see their passion being passed on to the next generation. And you need a heart of stone not to be touched by the pure innocence of the moment. Visible for all car buffs to see in the paddock is a make that many have fond Le Mans memories of. Of course, we're speaking of Panhard. 12 cars representing a famous twin-cylinder that won the 24 Hours Index of Performance several times in the 50s and 60s. And for former competition director Etienne de Valence, it's an emotional time.
Nous avons 15 clubs
have 15 clubs in all, 4 in France, the others are in Italy, Germany, Belgium, Holland and elsewhere. There are about 3,000 people who have between 2 and 5 Panhard cars, and that's what's kept the make alive. The brand's image is what's most important, and we're doing our very best to ensure the image continues. From 1950 to 1962, the French anthem echoed over the circuit 10 times thanks to Panhard. It was the make's golden era, but it was also a special time for France, and that's very important to remember. Another must-see area is the reconstruction of the paddock to offer a 1960s feel. The Fédération Française de Véhicules d'Époque ensured that there was more to the spectacle than just the on-track activities. They provided a fine collection of vehicles of the era to accompany the teams. And while we're on the subject of vehicles from another time, best we head over to the Le Mans village, where you'll find the Le Mans Heritage Club, featuring a selection of 24 cars that were raced in the 24 hours. This isn't a concours d'élégance, but the jury has a precise mandate to follow to find their winner.
Pour conserver la valeur historique
to conserve the historic and financial value of a car, it's important to know its history from A to Z. It's rare for a race car to have existed without having had a few problems along the way. We asked him, what are the criteria? You have 5 points. Authenticity, its results, the car's innovations, which is the case with this Jaguar because it was the first car to have disc brakes. The jury also looks closely at the design and style, and of course the condition of the car, which is easy to understand. Christophe, you're in the 1972 winning Matra. For a driver who's used to racing modern cars, what's it like? It's kind of the same behind the wheel. It's an open cockpit prototype, and I've been racing one this year. But then you look at the needle gauges, which are quite different, as are the on-off switches. And knowing that Henri won with this car, well, it's a lot of fun. You know that Le Mans Heritage rewarded this car Best of Show. Is it a favourite of yours? Of course, I drove it, so it's my favourite. There's a funny story. As you can see, the side pods are cracked because the drivers and mechanics jumped on the side pods after the race, damaging the side pods. It's things like this that you have to know, and I think it certainly deserves its place as one of the finest cars. First prize of Best of Show was awarded to the legendary Le Mans, the amazing Cadillac entered by American Briggs Cunningham that took a remarkable 11th place in the 1950 edition of the June Classic. It's well deserving of an albeit very wet lap of honour. This year, it's Group 3 with the honour of winding up the on-track activities of the Le Mans Classic.
Aïe aïe aïe. Ah là là, ça c'est raté parce que c'est pas le but bien sûr. Bien sûr que non, entre une Austin Millet et puis une Lotus. C'est dommage, un peu gâché.
There's quite a British theme for the class of car dating between 1957 and 1961, with the E-Type Jaguars, Lotus 11s and 15s and Aston Martin DBR 4s. But this being a Le Mans tribute, of course Ferrari is represented by the 250 GTS. If they manage to make it to the end, they'll defend Italian pride. But nothing stood in the way of a British sweep. Alistair Costin Jaguar took race 1 honours and again in race 2, before the tandem of Wills and Twyman and Lotus 15 won race 3 and the overall Group 3 victory.
It's incredible, and it's been a wonderful weekend. Lots of highs, a couple of lows, but overall really wonderful, and just had a brilliant time. Family have had a great time. Kids have really enjoyed the kids program as well, so it's been brilliant, fantastic.
When an event such as this progresses from year to year, what can we expect for the future? Because it's become very big.
Notre idée n'est pas du tout d'aller chercher des records.
We're not interested in breaking records. Clearly, the 24 Hours has twice as many spectators, and we're not at all interested in approaching those numbers, because we want to retain a certain comfort. In the 24 Hours, the public sets up camp at many places around the circuit, which isn't what our race is about. We don't need much more to get good coverage, and we allow the fans to get close to the cars and the competitors. The idea is to continue to progress with the organisation and not necessarily increase numbers. We want to make steady and measured progress. And with that, we've come to the end of the 6th edition of the Le Mans Classic. Despite difficult weather, not a single serious on-track incident to report, but just plenty of promise for the future. A fantastic weekend, automotive magic, that will be rekindled in 2014 for the 7th edition of the Le Mans Classic.